Hey everybody, it's Cody Fry. Today we're going to talk about my arrangement of Sailboat, which is a wonderful song by my friend Ben Rector, who also performed the song with me live in the studio. If you've not seen the video performance of Sailboat, you should definitely go check it out. I will include a link to the performance in this video. So this arrangement of Sailboat is derived from the version that Ben and I used to do when I was touring in Ben's band. Every night for the encore, we would come out and play this song together, just him and I. I would play piano and he would play guitar. It was always one of my favorite moments of the night, just getting to sing that with Ben. And so when I was thinking of putting the symphony sessions together, it was kind of obvious. I was just like, man, this would be really cool if Ben and I could perform this with an orchestra. It's a song that suits it really well, I think, and Ben was nice enough to agree to do it. So here's the finale file. You'll see that got lots of, multiple time signatures here, and one of my favorite things, the Adrift is the way I described how I wanted them to play it. There's not a lot of places you can have fun on a piece of music, but fonts and just like little things like Adrift, that's the way I put my personality into things. I think most of the players probably roll their eyes at it, but it's fun for me. So I didn't want the arrangement to get too complicated because it's such an emotional song that the lyrics kind of just stand up on their own and you don't need much. But I thought it'd be kind of cool because we're talking about sailing, right? And the wind is what powers a sailboat. And so I thought it's a great opportunity to use woodwinds as like a basis for like that feeling of just light breeze, kind of you're out on the boat, there's not enough wind to get you going, and so you just kind of adrift and you're hearing these woodwinds. And so that's why you'll hear in the intro, gives you a reminiscence of what it would be like to be on a sailboat. At least that's the idea. Down here you'll see, again, one of my favorite sounds of all time is concertino strings. It means with mutes, this little piece of rubber that the string players put up against the bridge. When they're played as a section, it just has such a silky sound. And so it was a great opportunity to use that sound on this chart. And it's just, I love writing dense string voicings that use mutes. Another fun thing, let's take this chord at measure 42 and 43, which is that you have most of the low strings playing just regular dotted half notes. And then you got the violin ones that are kind of trilling on a whole step, and it's really quiet. You can see it's marked triple P, and so you don't really hear it, but you sort of feel it. And then up in the woodwinds, you have the flutes and clarinets playing tremolos, and so you kind of get this vibration effect within the chord that you don't really hear. Here, let's pull it up in the ProTools file, and I can show you what I mean. So it's not something you hear like out front, but it just gives you a little bit of vibration, that sort of like static electricity that makes the chord feel a little bit more alive than if you were to just write whole notes or whatever. So on that note, here's the Pro Tools file. We got piano here, guitar, my vocal, Ben's vocal. This is some of the programming that made it in, then the strings, then all of the winds, and then the little percussion stuff. So on the acoustic guitar, we had a microphone and a DI. And the cool thing is that the mixing engineer used both of them, but the problem is in the loud sections when the orchestra was really playing out, the mic was just so much orchestra bleed, you couldn't really use it. And so he used the DI during the loud sections and then used the microphone during the quiet sections. And you'll hear where that bleed is. Here's that mic soloed. So that's the acoustic guitar mic, obviously tons of bleed, but then, you go to the DI and it's the opposite. Just really clean guitar. But it doesn't sound quite as good as the mic. So the mixing engineer was so smart, Jared Fox, to kind of combine the two to use the mic, which has the great sound in the moments where he could, but then use the DI in the moments where it was too loud to use the mic. So one interesting thing that happened during the filming of this was that we were using this camera crane, right? It was called a telescoping camera crane or something like this. It's like an accordion thing. It just kind of like goes this way, and then it also, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it. But during this song, this was the first song that we filmed, and we were still working out a couple kinks, and while we were recording this, the camera crane was making these like really loud clicking noises every once in a while, like mechanical clicking noises, like, and so, and it was coming through in the piano mics really loudly because the piano mics were gained up. The vocals were okay and the acoustic guitar stuff was okay because that gain was a little bit lower, but to get the piano, the mics were really hot. And they were ribbon mics, meaning they were kind of like taking a lot of sound in from around the piano as well. And so I actually had to replay the piano on that piano over there because the clicking noise, we just couldn't get rid of it. And so I just replayed the piano part. One of my favorite film composers is Thomas Newman. He's done so many unbelievable scores, American Beauty, Road to Perdition. There's so many great ones. And he has this amazing way of writing high violins where it's these kind of like weird melodies that are jumping in intervals where you wouldn't really expect. And then the second violins are like playing really closely and in strange intervals also. And you get these really interesting, like, not dissonances, but like suspensions. And so that's what I was trying to emulate on this last chorus in the high violins. Let's listen to it. So like, la, la, da. You have this note, ba, and then ba, da. So you get these like weird kind of suspensions. And the way that looks in the score, you have violin 1 and violin 2. See, they start on the same note, but then violin 2 kind of cascades downward, and you have them kind of these fighting notes that kind of continue through the whole rest of that second chorus. Let's listen to a little of the brass right there as well. So I've used this on a lot of songs that I've orchestrated where you get the French horns, all 4 of them playing unison, and then the second note they play, they're playing in this minor second interval, and so you'll hear that right here, and then followed by a flute throw, which, you know, I just love. It's one of my favorite techniques. It just like sends chills every time just hearing the French horns play like that. And you know, I love French horns. So we get through the second chorus, and then there's a turnaround with just like a little bit of light violin texture. And then there's the final chorus that Ben sings just by himself. And I didn't orchestrate it at all. And I just wanted to mention that because sometimes doing a good arrangement is about not doing anything. And some of the best arranging I do is silence. And because Ben's performance vocally is just so close up, it's like you don't want to distract from that at all. I want the camera to be right on Ben. I want to feel the emotion of that lyric, and the best way to do that in this moment was to strip everything out except for Ben and his guitar. And I think that's why that final chorus where he sings by himself is so effective. It's like you really hear the lyric. And then we get to the outro, which I kind of tried something I'd never done before, which is I wanted to kind of make this feel like you're kind of just floating adrift kind of in the middle of the ocean. And so I wrote these kind of strange woodwind patterns. So here's how those look. And you can see, so here's the outro. I just marked it ethereal. And I marked things like airy, and it's triple P, and it's these weird like, just like weird stuff, tremolos, and kind of, it's supposed to just kind of play in and around each other and just sort of give you this feeling of like the air kind of blowing your hair around or kind of circling you while you're in this sailboat. And then the other thing that I use is this thing called an ocean drum. This is one of my favorite things. The ocean drum is a percussive effect instrument that is supposed to sound like the ocean, like waves. And actually, hopefully we'll have a video I can drop in right here of the guy playing it. It's this amazing large drum with all these beads inside. And as you kind of rotate the drum, it creates the sound of waves. And so in the score, obviously you just tell the percussionist ocean drum, and this is how you write that in. And then at the very end, I just said, waves continue. Just kind of play us out with the waves and we'll just all feel like we're in a spa or something. And I just love that effect because it's like a magic trick. If we were to play this arrangement live ever, I don't think the audience would really know that there wasn't like some sort of sound effect being piped in, because this ocean drum just makes you feel like you're standing next to the ocean. And it's happening live right in front of you. You can also see some of the notation here for the strings. We have them in mutes and also sul tasto, which just means playing kind of over the fingerboard. So you get kind of a more diffused sound. And so I have them all marked there, really quiet, trills, it's at the tip of the bow, just kind of shimmering on a tremolo there. Just kind of all these textures that are very kind of diffused and ethereal, trying to create this feeling of just kind of being adrift on a sailboat. There's some more effects on the orchestra in the final mix. We put some reverb and delay on it just to really make it feel, but just so you can hear kind of how that sounds, I'll hit play and then show you the finale file. And that's Sailboat. If you have any questions about the arrangement or the orchestration, whatever, throw them in the comments. I love getting into it with people about stuff like this. It was such a joy to arrange this song and to be able to perform it with Ben. And like I said, if you haven't checked out the video, go see it. You can see the players playing all the parts. And yeah, it just kind of brings the arrangement to life. Thank you guys for listening to my music and for allowing me to do stuff like this. I never thought I'd be able to do music like this, and it's because of you guys that I get to keep making it, and so thank you. Yes, Sailboat, hooray.